The question that I often get asked is, well, where did this whole idea for a book about language and coaching come from? And when we look at it, it really goes back to my earliest days getting into the field of personal training and strength conditioning. And when I remember working with various mentors and watching how they interacted with clients or interacted with athletes, one thing that consistently stood out to me was how they communicated. And in one case, I would see that communication seemed to really stick, seemed to resonate, literally in the client's movement. Their words would help the client move better. And then I would see another coach literally using a similar program, same movement, but you wouldn't see the same echo of effectiveness with the language. And then I reflected back as I was going through those experiences in college to my own upbringing in various sports and thinking of the best coaches that I worked with. Oftentimes they made things fun, they made things simple, they made things visual. You did not feel that learning was effortful. And at the time, you just responded as a coach or an athlete to whatever was in front of you. And very often it was this whole idea that language, cues, instruction, how you taught people was something almost passed down by the campfire from one generation to the next. It was the art of coaching, if you would. It wasn't a science. I put that idea away for a long time, but always sat in the back of my mind. And inevitably, fast forward, I was working for a company called Athletes Performance, now known as Exos. And in 2009, I had my first opportunity to lead the NFL Combine development program there, which is quite an esteemed program. We would have some of the best up-and-coming athletes from Division I football who are going into the draft come through the program, and we had 8 weeks to help them go from zero to hero, so to speak, developing their 40, their 5-10-5, their L drill, all the physical qualities we get to watch on NFL Network when the players are at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. And I was absolutely honored and excited to be running this program for the first time. And after 1 year in the program, I looked back and said, wow, I have a ton to learn. Had one of the best facilities, had some of the best athletes, had incredible mentors. The programming and periodization was handed to me. What we were trying to do was right there in front of me. Yet I saw so many opportunities for improvement. I felt it. The hard part is I didn't know where the pulse was. I didn't know where to look, because I was like, I can't point to the facility. I can't point to the caliber of athlete. I can't even point to the programming. What's the issue, though? And inevitably, I went back to that 19-year-old guy, and I said, hold on. Let me go and put the mirror up here for a second. All I've ever focused on as a coach is what I do. The programming, the reps, the sets, the equipment, the next best exercise. But where have I ever focused on how to coach, how to deliver the message, how to translate what I know into how they move? I realized that I had not dedicated nearly enough time to the thing I literally do all day long, which was teach. And in that moment, I saw myself as that, as a teacher. I saw my athletes for a moment as a student. And I asked myself an important question. What do I teach? I teach movement. And that brought my attention back to this whole idea of motor learning. Literally the science of how to teach movement. And I spent that summer reading one of those old dusty textbooks on how to instruct, how to give feedback, how to design sessions, all with this rich goodness of evidence, science, on how to coach. So the next year, without having to change my programming, without having to change the facility and another batch of incredible athletes, I had spent a year interrogating how I communicate, how I teach. And the second I did that, I went from being happy with what I said to being happy with what I saw, and ensuring that my words, how I taught, echoed in the movement of every athlete that I worked with. And it wasn't perfect in that next year or the following, but year on year, I continued to dedicate myself to the art and science of coaching, elevating how we coach to the same level as what we coach. And in this book, we are going to be dedicating our time to one aspect of that, the language of coaching, specifically looking at how our words turn into their thoughts and help our athletes, our clients, our patients move better. That's what this is about. It's been a long time coming, and I'm happy to share my journey through an art and a science to hopefully help other people who had that same burning feeling inside of them that something was missing. I believe this will help fill that gap.